Morning guys, it's time for another review. So I was thinking this week, what I'm going to take, what bike, because I can go and see the guys at BMW and Moto City and also City Coast. And then as I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to take one of my bikes. So today we're going to take a bike that I bought about 3 or 4 years ago. So it's a Honda CBR250RR MC22. And I thought, you know what a perfect way to take a bike to review. There's a lot of reviews on CBRs, but I don't think there's one with someone who's owned CBRs for, I think it's coming up to 25 years. I've owned, ridden, restored, all that kind of stuff. So I know the bikes in and out. And as you can tell, I'll just show you in the camera. So we're surrounded by them. There you go. There's 1, 2, there's one behind me, 3. That lineup. So let's get all sorted and geared up. So this is what I'm going to take. I'll just get the cover brush. You can have a better look. That's under the red cover. I'll get a better walk around shot of the bike later. But this is one of the coolest part of the CBR250RR or the MC22 is the enormous boot size. So under pillion seat. So just turn the key and off she pops. Now I've got a 1 kilo bag from the boys at Coffee Machines and Beans. This stuff is amazing. I've got to drop some coffee up to my mate. So I can get a full kilo of beans in the boot. A little bit of room to spare. Job done. Right, so let's gear up and get out of here. Cold start procedure, key on, full choke. Look at that, this hasn't been started 3 or 4 weeks now. That sky's nice, isn't it? So full choke, the revs come up that 3 grand. I'll give it a few blips. Right, choke in, that's it. Because it's so early in the morning, I don't want to sit here and idle and warm the bike up too much, so I'll just putt along until I see that needle move in the normal range. So while it's doing that, I'll tell you the story how I came across this motorcycle. So a good friend of mine, Russell and the boys were hanging out at the top of the pie shop, and the guy by the name of George, he approached these guys sitting in their bikes having their pies and coffees and said, hey, I've got a bike. Now George is 76 by the way. I've got a bike I want to sell because I'm not riding it. Would you guys know anyone who'd be interested in it? And my mate Russell said, oh, what sort of bike you got, mate? He goes, it's a Honda CBR250RR. And Russell said, I know just the bloke. Now I've been playing with these things, like I said, since 2000 and restored countless of them and serviced them. And if you're watching this video, you've probably either had a service done by me or have bought a bike that I've serviced or one that I restored. So, you know, there's me and there's Fox down Melbourne and there's a few other guys around Australia. We're keeping these things alive, and the more the merrier. So this George guy, so Russell got details for this George guy. I gave him a call. The details are a bit sketchy, and he was nice old fella. Like, we're talking no mobile phone, only a house number kind of guy. So I said, oh, I heard you got a bike for sale. He goes, yeah, I've got this Honda CBR250RR. I said, yep. He goes, I've had it since 1997. I went, okay. He said, my boss bought it brand new in 1996. I was okay. And he said, it's got 24,000 Ks. It's always been serviced, always logged. It's never been crashed, it's never been dropped. I said, all right. I said, definitely keen. What's your address? So I actually went up there, and when he told me it was a 96 and he said it's an Aussie CBR, I was thinking, yes, I'm going to get an Aussie tricolour. This is sick, you know. And when he pulled the cover off in the garage, it was this. It was this, is it mica red, maroon, whatever colour you want to call it. And to be honest, I was a little bit disheartened, but then I realised, actually, the Aussies in this colour is far more rarer than the tricolour. So I thought, there you go, it's warmed up now. Give some. So anyway, when I had a look, I loaded it up, and George told me the backstory. You know, his boss paid 10 grand for it, because I remember back in the day they were like $9,990. So his boss paid 10 grand for it from Action Honda in Parramatta. I've still got the number plate and the surround around the number plate. And then he bought off his boss a year later in 97 for 7 grand. And I won't tell you how much I paid for it 3-4 years, because you'd hate me. So because the bike had been sitting around for 5 years, it needed a full going over. So I went over the bike from top to bottom, and you know, new tyres, bled the brakes, clean and adjusted the chain. Interesting enough, this is still running the original chain from the factory and front and rear pads. Isn't that crazy? Like, I'm starting to get low on the rear pads, and I'm thinking, do I just bite the bullet and buy another set of Honda genuine pads? Yeah, one of the reasons why I think these bikes are so great, and it's been, you know, is the fact that these things handle so well. And you don't have to go fast to have fun. Look at this, I'm just flicking this thing. And so responsive. Like, you see that car just pull out just willy-nilly. Now, I wasn't speeding. He just assumed that I was not going to go around the corner as swiftly as I did, and pulled out. So, like this, I've actually had these things on the track. I've even raced one once or twice. So I'm not going to say I'm a racer, but I have raced one. And honestly, and you would have seen my videos on the go-kart track, these things properly set up on the track, even though they're like, they're getting what, 35, you know, 30, 33, 35 years old, depending on the model you get. They still handle and outperform some modern bikes. And in the right hands, you would have to be on your A game on a bigger bike to keep up or beat them. Like, I'm serious. The amount of times I'm not like a grade rider, at the best maybe a B, maybe a slow A, who knows. So on a good day, I'm up there with, you know, it depends on the track day too, you know, it all varies. You could get a influx of ASBK riders who have just finished a round, they want to get their head in on the track again, and then you're saturated with these guys who can dance on bikes that defy the physics. But on a good day, one of these, mate, you're up there. You are up there. I know at the moment Eastern Creek won't let anything under 300cc in the A grade, but I think what's the quickest time on one of these around Eastern Creek? I think it's like a 147, 148. Yeah, that's macking, absolute macking on the GP circuit. Now the other thing too about these things is, because they're so revvy, you always, like, I'm just cruising around, I'm behind this car now, I'm doing 40 in the 50k zone. Now I'm sitting on, whatever gear I'm in, I'm sitting on 6,000 RPM, and most bikes are getting close to the rev range, where this is the kind of mant range, you know. You're not going to go accelerate too quick from here. And if you want to keep in that rev range where you're going, it's got to be around 8 to 10. Like I said in another video, this being an Aussie, slightly different spec to an import, and it revs to 18,000 red line instead of 19. And again, the bang for your buck you get on one of these is insane. And so many people, so many customers now, they're the kind of bike, once you buy and own, it's always going to leave a mark. It's always going to be that bike that, and not necessarily, because you know, when you're younger, you buy a bike or a car, and then, you know, you move on with life, get married, have kids, whatever else. Well, something's going on here today. So you move on with life, and then you get the kind of nostalgic feeling, oh, I remember that car I had or that bike I had, and then you go track one down and buy it and realise, wow, that was a real hunk of junk. Not in this case. These bikes, even with today's standards, I've had so many customers who have either purchased their own bike and had me service it or partly restore it, or have actually bought a turnkey restoration. And look, we're talking about people who have done well in life, and their garage is like, you know, like almost like a boutique showroom. They've got the Ducati, they've got the, you know, they've got the Ducati Panigale, they've got the this, they've got that, and they've got this CBR250RR, because it's that good. And people are wising up to how good they are, and they are paying top dollar. At the moment, we're selling a restored one, and when I say restored, we're not pulling the engine down and rebuilding it, because they simply can't get a lot of parts from them. We're doing an engine health check and going through the whole bike like a fine tooth comb. We are selling them now with registration for 9.5k. Yeah, this is awesome, and with these Rosso 4s, look, it's just, look at that. Yes. Oh, each these corners. I'm very blessed to live in this part of the world, and this is my backyard. And as you can tell by my films and reviews, I spend a lot of time on this road. Now, getting back to the bike, look, as you know, I've worked in several different dealerships, and I've had access to pretty much all the different most common manufactured bikes at my disposal to ride, and also spend a lot of time as a technician. So part of that job is taking bikes to test ride. So you get to ride all different bikes. And one time I was working at a dealership at City Coast as a salesperson, so we were selling BMW, Triumph and Yamaha, and we had like a demo bikes that I could, you know, take home, ride, and I often do to scrap tyres and make sure they're okay. And I'd get people walking in, making conversation, and they asked me a question. They'd say, so what are you riding? Because they want to see what the salesperson rides, just to see that I'm legit. And my answer to every time was whatever I want. And they went, what do you mean? I said, well, look where I work. Part of the quirk is I could ride anything I want. They went, oh. And then they asked the question. They go, so what did you ride today? And I point to the CBR250 outside. And they go, wow, is that yours? I saw that. So even though I had access to the BMWs and Triumphs and Yamahas, even though they're all great bikes in their own right, I just love riding this thing. It's just insane. It's so much fun. You feel like you're flying and you're not. Like, you can hear the bike and it's going, and like I'm doing 50, 55. That's it. That's all I need to do. You know, you can't get away with silly stuff anymore. Like there's radars and lidars and all that sort of stuff. But here, you're just cruising along, and because it's so light, so flickable, look, I can drop a gear, still be in the rev range. I'll keep it in this gear. It's just so nice. Look at that. Gosh, these tyres are good. And then I've also got my my truck CBR set up, so I often take it down to Kembla Grange because that's been easiest and convenient for me. When I get a chance, I like to go to Marulan. Again, awesome. Now a lot of people say, oh, is having an old bike, because these are old bikes now, and depending on the year model, you actually can put these on Club Rego, which is fantastic. which is like, you know, 50 bucks a year in New South Wales. So I've actually got three bikes on Club Rego, which gives you a bit of a mix, you know, you can ride different bikes. So having said that, if you were to ride this every day, look, it is a sport bike, and depending on your size, now they have a low seat height. I think it's around the 760, 780, or maybe 800. I'll put the details here somewhere, the actual facts. And when you sit on this bike, you actually really, you know, you sit in it and it's really comfortable. Now, like I said before, I'm 5'11" or 178 centimeters, so I'm not actually 6 foot, but I can imagine if you're 6 foot or taller, and I have heard of people, you can get a little bit cramped because you are over the tank a bit. Because I've been riding these things for so long, I'm kind of used to it, but I do like the more upright position of my MC17, which has got the, so just here, gotta watch the road, the triple clamps. It's got the clip-ons above the triple clamps, which makes it, just brings it up that little touch higher. And then if you still want the same kind of flex of the rev and the engine and the sound with the gear driven cams and the quad carbies, 16 valves, all that kind of fun wizardry stuff, there is a little known model that never came into Australia as a legit model, but there's plenty of grey ones out there. It is the Hornet 250. It is unreal. Not many people know, because we've got the Hornet 600 and the 900, and I think there's a 929. And they're all great bikes. Not many people know that the 250 was the first. Then they made the 600. Not exactly picturesque this morning. It's a bit gloomy actually. It's a bit weird. What's old matey doing? Staring. Oh, he's droning. He's droning. Got to get me one of them. If you guys don't know the history about the Seacliff Bridge, back in the day, you can see where all that rockfall was. The road used to actually hug along. You can see part of or most of the road's gone now. So it was often, this road up the coast here was closed due to the fact that we had like massive rock slides. And so yeah, it was a bit of inconvenience for locals. They had to drive around a long way. So eventually the government and RMS, whoever the guys do, built this amazing bridge that now has become an iconic landmark, which is great for Wollongong and tourism and all that. But it's a pain in the ass, to be honest, for the locals. Like, that's why I come up here in the morning. You get a run. Come down here during lunchtime, forget it. It's just a mess. It's a car park. People everywhere walking and taking photos. And I think people are getting dumber, eh? They're just standing. Look, there's a road. I have to show you the road. I saw a guy stop, right, and do a U-turn, like down this hill, blind corner. And look, I get it, not from the area, you're a bit confused, but just find somewhere a bit safer to chuck a U-turn, you know. But the best part was, it wasn't just him. It was like a family. Like, you know, there was 5 or 6 cars involved, and they just all followed one another. Went, oh my goodness! I'm so glad, like, there wasn't, you know, bikes coming around the corner. So it was, yeah, real dumb idea. Look at that, CBR can keep up with a Lamborghini. Sounds so good.
Okay guys, here we are. We just, you would have seen the videos, we just took this for a little ride. So this is my own personal Honda CBR250RR or MC22. I'm actually the third owner of this bike. I'm not sure if you picked it up on the ride. So the gentleman I bought it off, he was like 76. He bought it off his boss in 97. His boss bought it brand new in 96. And then I come along 4 years ago. And I heard from a friend, this guy wanted to sell the bike. and I was absolutely chuffed to find this. I was expecting to find the tricolour, and when he pulled the covers off and I saw the maroon, I was like, oh, it's not the tricolour, but it's still a gorgeous colour. And it's actually rarer than the tricolour, believe it or not. Just had to do a major service on it, new tyres, clean the carbage. It's still got the original brakes, it's still got the original chain, believe it or not, chain and sprockets, original pads front and rear. The rears are getting a little bit low, and I'm contemplating just buying original Honda ones. Now, it's never been crashed or dropped, so even when I rub the levers, there's no marks on it. The Hero knobs have got no marks and they've never been scrubbed out. And even when I ride this, I'm very ginger. I don't want to push it too hard in the corners and scrub it. I know it sounds silly, right? So it's got a few marks on the screen from, you know, moving around, transport, whatever's rubbing against it. But even the screen's got the original rivets on it and the stickers. And so it's a great thing to find this day and age. We talked about only 3 years ago, a bike of this pedigree still around. So they are out there. So this has got 26,160 Ks in it. It did have about 24 when I first bought it, so, or 22 maybe. So I am riding it, which is great. Now, what is it like to own a CBR and ride a CBR? Like I said in the description, so I'm probably, you know, nearly 25 years into owning CBRs. I started off the MC19. A few years later, I bought a 22, and that's basically how DOS Moto Garage started. I'm a qualified mechanic. I'm very passionate about restoring bikes, as you know. A lot of bikes are restored of these, and they're all around Australia. There's a couple, 2 or 3 now in Ireland. There's one in Oslo, Norway. There's a couple in Queensland. There's some down in Melbourne. There's all scattered through Sydney. There's some in Wollongong. So all my bikes are getting out there, which is pretty cool, because it'd be selfish of me not to spread the love of what these are like. And these are getting harder to find in good working condition. And simply people don't know what they should be like and what they should sound like. Like, this is warm now. Find the key, it's in my pocket. So these should start nice and easy and run and have a nice smooth cadence or noise to them. So you get that. This has got the standard exhaust, so it's quiet, but you still can hear the bit of a miss, you know. Now, I will insert the clip from the Bob video here. How good does this sound? So Bob's all, and this is when it's got a loud exhaust on it. You'll get that like rotary, those whap, whap, whap. It's unreal. Now, what it is like to ride this thing, it's unreal. The noise you get from the induction, those 4 carbies, and that red line swinging right around to 18,000 on this, the Aussie model, 19 on the import, just screaming, those 16 valves doing their thing. The ride, this is the most important thing. The ride, look, like I said, I'm 5'11", and so look at this. I'm more than flat-footed on the bike. I can actually perk up and have a bit of gap between my tush and the seat. So it's so easy to ride, so easy to park, easy to turn, manoeuvre, and it's even got these cool. Press this lever, right? Swing it down. These foot pegs. Great for tying stuff or taking someone in the back. And you already seen the boot, flips open, good size boot. This is unlike anything else you've ridden. You need to, this is a bucket list item. You need to ride one of these or experience or own one. I can hear a bike. What is it? Sounds all right. What are they doing? Yep, rev bombing. Wonder why the motors blow up. So funny. I think I know who that is too. I don't want him to come down. I don't know, I'm just guessing. So what it is like to ride this, it's unreal, because there's so much fun to be had. Like when you ride a big bike, like a 600 or 1,000, or even up, I ride up to the Rocket 3 to 2.5. They've got so much power, so much torque. It's really hard to control yourself and enjoy it, and you end up putting around. It's like trying to drive a McLaren around in a 60k zone. You're just like, bah, bah, bah. It's no fun. Where these things here, you get to open them up a bit and scream, and it's like You give it first, second, and you look down and you do an 80 and it's like, yes. And like you're getting the twisties and it's all about getting the entry and the exit right to keep that corner speed up. And you believe you me, you can get some corner speed in this thing. Like you can go to a track on one of these that's set up correctly. When I say set up, change the bloody fork oil. Some of the fork oil on these things, you imagine a 30-year-old fork oil, it smells like a liquefied nappy. Put some 15 weight in it, throw some 20-cent pieces if you're on the bud spec, and just tighten up the rear shock. If you can afford a bit more, go see Keo, get some shocks done front more. If you got more cash, put, you know, YSS suspension, whatever you want to do. But tell you what, a little suspension grade in this, go to a track day, man, you'll own it. It's unreal. You'll surprise bikes are much bigger. Now, this is part of the bubble race back in the 90s where the Japanese manufacturers, Suzuki, Honda, Yamaha and Kawasaki were in this big race because the laws back then with the 250s and the tax and all that kind of weird stuff, there was so much little racing in the 250s, so everyone's trying to get these bikes, the 250s, to make them go, handle, stop. I mean, it's got twin discs in 1990. And look at this frame, all like special spur frame, the engine's part of the chassis, and it's all, you know, gull swing arm. It's on this side, oh no, the other side. It's got the gull swing arm. This whole thing is like built like a, I say to people, this is like a super bike with blinkers and lights. 45 horsepower for the import, 40 for this. Out of a 250, you do the math, that's up there. That's up there for like horsepower per cc's. And look, I get it. We're in 2025, this is the 1990 bike. There's a few ponies that left the paddock by now, but that's okay. This one still goes all right, actually. It's been sitting around for a while, so I don't like to give too many berries. But look, honestly, I can't rave enough about these things. What has it been like to ride a CBR? And look, it'd be nice to have a big bike sometimes. You go for big rides with the guys and you do lack. But when it comes to the twisties, you're there. You're chomping at the heels. You're like, get out of my way, I'm coming through. But wherever you ride this and pull up in a bike group, it's instant conversation starter. Straight away, they go, hey mate, yeah, had one of them. Good bikes, eh? Like, doesn't matter where you are, like they love it, absolutely love it. And like, why wouldn't you? It's got the retro twin lights at the front and the rear, the rocket tail lights. It's got that beautiful rev and that high pitched whine of the gear driven cam. It's just nuts, man, just nuts. I cannot rave about these more, and that's why these things are so popular, and that's why these things have gone through the roof. I'm a little bit to blame to that. I've been building some really high-end ones, same as Fox down in Melbourne, and we've been pushing the prices up because we want to make sure, because these are getting very expensive to restore now, because every Tom, Dick and Harry have absolute munter these things, and we're trying to get them back to OEM. We're getting rid of all the hack jobs of previous owners and backyard mechanics, and we're trying to make them back to how Honda initially had them. So do your checks. I have seen a lot of these bikes with rusty bores of late, and when I say rusty bores, they look like really like this ground would be a lot smoother than the bores in them, and like you can't just hone them and throw new rings and off you go. And talking about rings, you can still buy new OEM rings. Most of the gaskets, apart from the oil pan gasket, aftermarket bearings for the like Conrod bearings and the big end bearings. So yeah, no, you can't buy pistons anymore. You can still buy valve stem seals. So there's stuff you can't get anymore. So it's getting harder and harder to find one. If you find one, you want to buy it, find someone who's got a decent camera and look down the bore before you put money down, because once that bore is rusted to the point, you can't do much with it. There is aftermarket oversized pistons, but I personally haven't had much success with them, so yeah, pick and choose. All right, just doing another take because just in case the first one didn't work too well. So yeah, that concludes our ride for today. What can I say to sum it up? Is a CBR250RR MC22 worth having in 2025, even though it's a 90s bike? Absolutely. If you can afford one, and look, put on Club Rego. In New South Wales, where I'm from, it's $50 or $51 a year plus your club membership. It's a no-brainer. You get to ride it 60 times a year in the book and free on club days, whatever else. But that's once a week at least. All you got to do is ride it once a week, or sometimes, you know, ride it for a weekend and then miss the next weekend. That's the best. Like, you won't regret it. And with the prices the way they have been lately and just going up and up, it's like, it's an investment. That's what you tell your missus, babe, it's an investment, or hubby, or whatever your partner is. Say, it's an investment, it's really important. All right, I've got to wrap this up. There's a car coming and they always like to see what you're doing. Cheers, guys. Yeah, guys, I'm here at Trudgy Creek, my favourite spot. It's just beautiful down here. I like coming down here. I don't know what it is. Just, I know the tree, the wind's died off, and the creek's full of debris. Don't know what it is. I like it. So, summing up the sum up of the sum up. It's just special. I'm special. You're special. Oh, disclaimer. I've had a lot of people say that they thought, so it's ironic, I got a beard and I own a maroon MC22 and I do YouTube. Craig from the Bearded Mechanic did a YouTube video of getting one of these running, who belonged to, I believe, Sean from Bikes and Beards. No, I'm not Craig. I don't have hair like Craig. I think I'm much better looking. Sorry, Craig, you're a nice bloke. Don't know you personally, but you seem to be a nice bloke. It was interesting though, because watched the video, it was cool. I do like Bearded Mechanic stuff. He's a funny guy. And Dan. It was interesting watching the video, because I work on these, I know what's happening. I was watching it and I was like, I can see little mistakes Craig was doing. Not having a go at you, Craig, if you watch this. And I'm watching these people in the comments going, he done this wrong and that one. I was like, really? Dude, just chillax, man. He got the bike running, he took it for a ride, and like the percentage of people, especially Americans, who've probably got a chance to ride one of these is like, we're pretty lucky in Australia, because these actually got brought to Australia officially. So America, you guys are just, man, you've got, unless you know someone that knows someone, the chance of you guys actually riding one of these. And like, it was good to watch Craig ride these and have fun, because they are sensational to ride, man. It's just next level. All right, that's me, man. I'm summing up, I'm out of here. I've had enough. I've got to go mow the grass, feed the dogs, all that kind of fun stuff. And that's it, I'm over. Thanks, guys, supporting, watching, liking, sharing. The YouTube channel's growing every week, and it's great to see the feedback and people run into me going, man, love your videos and we're inspiring. So, and you know, I try to answer all your questions when I can. So, not that good on emails and stuff. So, to leave a comment, I'll get to it when I get to it. All right, peace out. See you.